Many people hear the phrase, "Many are called, but few are chosen." Yet very few truly understand what it means. If you are listening to this message right now, it is not random. Nothing about this moment is accidental. You were not simply scrolling, clicking, or passing time. Something deeper pulled you here. A quiet inner force led you to this message because somewhere within you, there is a recognition, a knowing, a feeling you have carried for much of your life. You have always sensed that you are different. Not better than others, not superior, but different in a way that is difficult to explain. You may have felt a weight on your shoulders that others around you never seem to notice. While people around you move through life casually, you often felt a deeper responsibility, as if you were meant to see more, understand more, and carry more. At times, you may not have had the words for it. At other times, you may have tried to ignore it, but no matter how much you try to blend in, that inner awareness never fully disappeared. This message is not meant for everyone. Some people will hear these words and feel nothing. Others may dismiss them entirely. But for those who are truly meant to hear this, something inside will resonate. It will feel familiar, as if these words are reminding you of something you already knew but had not fully accepted. Those who walk the path of the chosen often feel isolated, misunderstood, or unseen, not because they are meant to be alone, but because their path requires a different level of awareness, a different way of moving through the world. Being chosen does not mean life becomes easier. In fact, it often becomes more demanding. There are lessons others never face, battles that are fought quietly, internally, without recognition or applause. And yet, those battles shape strength, wisdom, and depth that cannot be gained any other way. They're the reason this path is not crowded. What you carry within you is not meant to be exposed to everyone. There are truths, insights, and realizations that are entrusted to you not for display, but for protection, growth, and preparation. This is why discretion becomes essential for those who are chosen. One of the earliest lessons the chosen must learn is the value of silence and discernment. Silence does not mean weakness. It does not mean fear. It means wisdom. It means understanding that not every thought needs to be spoken, not every revelation needs an audience, and not every person is capable of holding what you carry. People are drawn to light, but not all are drawn for the right reasons. Some are inspired by it, others feel exposed by it, and some, consciously or unconsciously, seek to dim it because it reminds them of what they have neglected within themselves. This is why discernment is not optional for the chosen. It is necessary for survival. There are insights you receive that are not meant for casual conversation. There are realizations that are meant to guide you quietly, not to be debated, mocked, or misunderstood. When shared with the wrong people, even sacred wisdom can be twisted, dismissed, or used against you. Throughout history, those who carry divine insight understood this truth. They spoke carefully. They waited for the right moment. They protected what was entrusted to them until the time was right. You are not meant to explain yourself to everyone. Your journey does not require approval. Your calling does not require validation. And your growth does not need to be understood by those who are not walking your path. Another truth the chosen must accept is this: vulnerability is sacred. Yes, even those who are called and guided experience doubt, exhaustion, and moments of weakness. Being chosen does not remove your humanity. It refines it. But vulnerability must be shared wisely. Not everyone who listens cares. Not everyone who comforts is sincere. And not everyone who appears supportive has pure intentions. There are people who learn your weak points not to protect you, but to exploit them. This is why trust must be earned, not assumed. There are few, very few, who are meant to see you fully, who can witness your struggles without judgment, who can hold your pain without turning it into a weapon. These individuals are revealed over time, through experience, testing, and inner confirmation. The chosen learn not to expose their inner world to the crowd. Your strength grows when you protect what is fragile until it becomes resilient. And then there is your energy. You may have noticed that some interactions leave you drained without any obvious reason. Conversations that feel heavy. People who constantly need, take, or lean, but never replenish. This is not coincidence. Your energy carries a certain frequency, a presence that others feel even if they cannot explain it. Some are uplifted by it. Others are dependent on it. Energy must be guarded. You are not required to give access to everyone. You are not obligated to fix, save, or carry others at the expense of yourself. Service does not mean self-destruction. Learning to say no is not selfish. It is an act of wisdom. Boundaries are not walls. They are filters. They ensure that what enters your life contributes rather than consumes. Pay attention to how your body and spirit respond to people and environments. The sense of heaviness, fatigue, or discomfort is often your intuition speaking before your mind can rationalize it. Distance is sometimes protection. Rest is not weakness, and solitude is not isolation. For the chosen, solitude is often the place of renewal, the space where clarity returns, the place where guidance becomes clear again. Withdrawing at times is not avoidance, it is preparation. Even the strongest spiritual figures understood the necessity of stepping away from noise to reconnect with purpose. Your presence carries weight. You may not always notice it, but others do. Sometimes it shifts rooms. Sometimes it unsettles people. Sometimes it brings calm without effort. This is not ego. It is awareness. And because your presence matters, not every space deserves it. You must be mindful of where you go, who you allow close, and what environments you consistently expose yourself to. Some spaces drain, others nourish. Choose wisely. You are not meant to be everywhere. You are meant to be where your purpose can breathe. This path requires restraint, awareness, and inner discipline, but it also leads to clarity, strength, and a depth of peace that cannot be shaken by surface-level chaos. And this is only the beginning. As a chosen one of the most powerful yet misunderstood tools you possess is silence. In a world driven by noise, opinions, and constant expression, silence is often mistaken for weakness. But silence, when used with awareness, is strength in its purest form. It is not the absence of power. It is the containment of it. Those who are chosen learn early that words carry energy. Once released, they cannot be taken back. Words can build paths or destroy bridges. They can bring clarity or invite chaos. This is why silence becomes a form of protection. There will be moments when people challenge you, question your intentions, or provoke you deliberately, not because they seek understanding, but because your presence unsettles something within them. In these moments, silence is not avoidance. It is mastery. Not every challenge deserves a response. Not every accusation requires defense. And not every misunderstanding needs correction. When you remain silent in situations that demand reaction, you preserve your energy. You refuse to be pulled into emotional traps designed to distract you from your purpose. You deny others the power to control your inner state. Silence allows you to observe rather than react. It gives you space to see intentions clearly, to read between words, and to recognize patterns that would otherwise be hidden behind emotional responses. Through silence, discernment sharpens. There are moments, of course, when speaking is necessary, when truth must be voiced, when guidance must be offered. But those moments are not driven by emotion. They are guided by inner clarity. The chosen do not speak to prove themselves. They speak when alignment demands it. Another critical discipline for the chosen is discretion. Discretion is not secrecy rooted in fear. It is wisdom rooted in awareness. It is knowing what to reveal, what to protect, and what to allow to unfold quietly. In a culture that rewards oversharing, discretion feels unnatural. Yet for the chosen, oversharing is dangerous. When too much is revealed too early, it invites interference, opinions, jealousy, doubt, even subtle resistance. Your journey is not a performance. Your growth does not require spectators. Some stages of development must happen unseen. Just as roots grow underground before a tree stands tall, your inner work requires privacy. Strength forms in silence. Clarity matures away from attention. This applies not only to spiritual insights, but also to plans, goals, and progress. When you announce everything you intend to do, you expose your vision to external energy before it has fully formed. Move quietly. Let outcomes speak louder than intentions. Discretion also applies to relationships. Not every connection needs to be visible. Not every bond should be explained. Some relationships are divinely timed and purpose-specific. They are meant to exist without interference. Especially as a chosen one, you will attract people who are drawn to your light, but are not aligned with your mission. Attraction does not equal compatibility. Interest does not equal assignment. Be selective. Access to your inner world is earned, not granted. Another essential discipline is emotional mastery. You will feel deeply. That is part of your design. Empathy, sensitivity, and awareness are not weaknesses. They are tools. But if left unmanaged, they can become vulnerabilities. Emotional mastery does not mean suppressing feelings. Suppression leads to imbalance. Mastery means understanding emotions without allowing them to control decisions. There will be moments of anger, sadness, frustration, and fear. These emotions are signals, not commands. They are information pointing towards something deeper. When emotions arise, pause. Ask yourself what they are revealing. Ask what lesson they are carrying. Respond with awareness, not impulse. When emotions control action, judgment becomes clouded. Focus weakens. The path becomes distorted. This is why emotional discipline is essential for those with responsibility beyond themselves. A calm mind sees clearly. A centered spirit responds wisely. Emotions can also become fuel when channeled correctly. Anger can become resolve. Pain can become compassion. Frustration can become persistence. Joy can become inspiration. The chosen do not eliminate emotion. They refine it. Balance is another pillar that cannot be ignored. Without balance, even spiritual growth becomes unstable. Extremes lead to burnout. Obsession replaces wisdom. Isolation replaces clarity. You exist in both the spiritual and physical worlds. Neglecting either creates imbalance. Spiritual connection without grounding leads to detachment. Physical focus without spiritual alignment leads to emptiness. Balance means honoring both. This includes caring for your body, your mind, and your inner life. Rest is not optional. Reflection is not a luxury. Stillness is not wasted time. You are not meant to exhaust yourself, trying to carry everything alone. Learning to say no becomes part of balance. You cannot heal everyone. You cannot guide everyone. And you are not responsible for outcomes beyond your assignment. Balance also applies to relationships. Some connections support growth. Others drain it. Discernment helps you recognize the difference. Distance is sometimes an act of self-respect. Boundaries preserve alignment. Solitude, when balanced with meaningful connection, strengthens rather than isolates. Time alone allows integration. Time with aligned people allows expansion. Both are necessary. And finally, spiritual protection becomes non-negotiable. As awareness deepens, sensitivity increases. You begin to feel subtle shifts in environments, people, and situations. This sensitivity is a gift, but it requires care. Not every struggle is spiritual, but some are. Confusion, sudden doubt, emotional heaviness, or persistent distraction can sometimes signal misalignment rather than failure. When this happens, return to stillness. Recenter. Reconnect. Your strongest protection is alignment with the source that guides you. Daily practices that ground and center you restore clarity. They strengthen discernment. They reinforce inner stability. Protection is not fear. It is awareness. And at the core of all these disciplines lies one foundation connection. An unshakable connection to the source that guides your path. This connection is not maintained through effort alone. It is nurtured through presence, through listening, through surrender. Not surrender as weakness, but surrender as trust. Trust that your path unfolds with intention. Trust that challenges refine rather than destroy. Trust that guidance is always available when you are willing to listen. The chosen do not walk blindly. They walk attentively. And as you continue forward, these principles become instinct rather than effort. Discernment sharpens. Silence strengthens. Balance stabilizes. Purpose clarifies. And this prepares you for what comes next. As you continue walking this path, there comes a moment when you realize something important. Being chosen is not about elevation above others. It is about responsibility within yourself. Many misunderstand this calling. They assume it comes with constant clarity, unwavering confidence, or immediate recognition. In reality, it often comes with uncertainty, inner pressure, and long periods of invisibility. These seasons are not punishment. They are preparation. The chosen are refined in private before they are revealed in public. This is why patience becomes a silent teacher. There will be times when progress feels slow, when answers do not arrive immediately, and when the path ahead feels unclear. In these moments, doubt may attempt to enter your mind, whispering that you are behind, lost, or mistaken. But delay does not mean denial. Growth that lasts is built gradually, layer by layer, through experience, reflection, and correction. What forms too quickly rarely holds under pressure. The chosen are built to endure, not to impress. Another truth you must accept is this: resistance is confirmation. When you move in alignment with your purpose, you naturally disrupt patterns. You challenge comfort. You expose stagnation. This creates friction. Not everyone will celebrate your growth. Some will distance themselves. Others may project insecurity, criticism, or misunderstanding. This is not a sign that you are doing something wrong. It is often a sign that you are doing something necessary. When people resist your presence, it usually has less to do with you and more to do with what your presence reflects back to them. Awareness can be uncomfortable for those who prefer avoidance. Remain steady. Do not shrink to preserve comfort. Do not dim your clarity to protect others from their own reflection. At the same time, humility must remain intact. Confidence without humility becomes arrogance. Awareness without compassion becomes detachment. The chosen must balance strength with gentleness. You are not here to dominate. You are here to stabilize. This balance becomes especially important as your influence grows. Influence does not always appear as leadership or authority. Often, it shows up quietly, in conversations that shift perspective, in presence that calms tension, in choices that model integrity. You may never know the full impact of your actions, and that is intentional. Another lesson that deepens over time is the understanding of timing. Not everything unfolds when you want it to. Not every door opens when you knock. Timing is not controlled by urgency. It is governed by readiness. Sometimes you are ready, but the environment is not. Other times the environment is ready, but you still require refinement. Forcing alignment creates resistance. Trusting timing creates flow. This is why listening becomes more important than striving. The chosen learn to pause, observe, and adjust. Movement becomes intentional rather than reactive. Listening does not only mean listening to guidance. It also means listening to discomfort. Discomfort often signals areas of growth. It highlights attachments, fears, or patterns that no longer serve you. Avoiding discomfort delays evolution. Meeting it with awareness accelerates transformation. Another layer of maturity arrives when you stop seeking validation for your experiences. Early on, many chosen feel the urge to explain themselves, to be understood, to justify their path. Over time, this urge softens. You realize that understanding cannot be forced. Those who are meant to understand will. Those who are not will interpret through their own limitations. Neither defines your truth. Freedom comes when you stop trying to translate your inner world for external approval. Your alignment becomes internal rather than dependent. This is when inner authority replaces external confirmation. You trust your discernment. You trust your pacing. You trust your direction. This trust does not remove challenges, but it changes how you face them. Challenges become feedback rather than obstacles. Setbacks become information rather than failure. Nothing is wasted. Everything teaches. Another essential realization is that solitude will continue to appear throughout your life, not as punishment, but as calibration. Periods of withdrawal are necessary to integrate lessons, realign priorities, and restore clarity. Solitude sharpens intuition. Noise dulls it. During these phases, resist the urge to fill silence with distraction. Stillness may feel uncomfortable at first, but it is within stillness that guidance becomes audible. What you seek externally often emerges internally when the noise settles, and when connection returns, it returns with purpose. You will also learn that strength does not require constant output. Productivity does not define worth. Rest is not something you earn only after exhaustion. It is something you honor to preserve longevity. Burnout benefits no one. Sustainable impact requires rhythm. This rhythm becomes your anchor. Action followed by rest. Engagement followed by reflection. Giving followed by replenishment. When this rhythm is honored, clarity remains accessible even in complexity. Finally, there comes a quiet acceptance that this path is ongoing. There is no final arrival point where learning ends. Awareness continues to expand. Responsibility evolves. Perspective deepens. This is not a burden. It is a privilege. To see clearly, to act intentionally, to live with alignment rather than impulse. As you move forward, you may notice that life becomes less about answers and more about coherence. Less about certainty and more about integrity. You are not here to have everything figured out. You are here to remain present, honest, and responsive to what unfolds. And with each step taken consciously, the path becomes clearer beneath your feet. As time passes, the chosen begin to understand a deeper truth. Clarity does not always come before action. Often, it comes because of action. Many wait for certainty before moving forward. They wait to feel completely ready, fully confident, or perfectly aligned. But readiness is not a feeling. It is a decision, and the chosen are often required to step forward while still carrying questions. This is where courage is forged. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the ability to move without allowing fear to lead. The chosen learn that fear often appears when growth is near. It signals expansion, not danger. When you recognize this, fear loses its authority. Another important realization emerges. Not everyone who walks with you is meant to walk with you forever. Some connections exist for a season, others for a lesson, few for a lifetime. Releasing people does not mean rejecting them. It means honoring the role they played without forcing continuity where alignment no longer exists. Holding on to expired connections creates stagnation. Letting go creates space. Space is essential for growth. As you evolve, your values refine. Your boundaries strengthen. Your tolerance for misalignment decreases. This can feel uncomfortable, especially if you were once the one who adapted to keep peace. But peace that requires self-betrayal is not peace. It is suppression. The chosen eventually stop negotiating with their inner truth. This does not make them cold or distant. It makes them clear. Clarity simplifies decisions. It removes the need for constant explanation. It creates consistency between inner knowing and outer behavior. With clarity comes accountability. You begin to recognize where you have been avoiding responsibility for your own choices, where patterns have repeated because they were familiar, not because they were healthy. This awareness can be uncomfortable, but it is empowering. You are no longer a passive participant in your life. You become an active steward of your direction. Another layer of growth appears when you stop measuring progress by external milestones. Success becomes less about achievement and more about alignment, less about recognition and more about coherence. You begin to ask different questions. Does this choice honor my values? Does this direction preserve my integrity? Does this environment support my clarity? These questions guide decisions more reliably than ambition alone. At this stage, comparison loses relevance. You stop measuring your path against others. You understand that timelines differ because assignments differ. What looks like delay from the outside may be precision from within. Trust replaces urgency. This trust does not mean inaction. It means intentional movement. It means choosing depth over speed, sustainability over intensity. The chosen learn that consistency is more powerful than bursts of effort. Small, aligned actions repeated over time create transformation that cannot be undone. Another important shift occurs in how you relate to struggle. Struggle is no longer viewed as something to escape. It becomes something to interpret. Each challenge carries information. Each obstacle reveals a refinement point. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" you begin to ask, "What is this shaping in me?" This shift changes everything. You stop resisting difficulty and start extracting wisdom from it. You conserve energy by working with reality rather than against it. This does not mean tolerating harm or injustice. It means responding consciously rather than reactively. The chosen develop resilience not by avoiding hardship, but by integrating its lessons. As this integration deepens, inner stability grows. External circumstances lose some of their power to disturb your center. You become less reactive, more responsive. You listen more than you speak. You observe more than you assume. You choose more than you drift. This inner stability becomes your anchor. And from this anchor, service becomes more authentic. You no longer help from a place of depletion or obligation. You help from overflow, from clarity, from grounded presence. This is when impact becomes natural rather than forced. You do not need to convince others of your value. You do not need to prove your worth. Your presence communicates what words cannot. And finally, you come to understand that this path is not about becoming someone else. It is about removing what you are not, shedding layers of conditioning, expectation, and fear until what remains is honest, aligned, and grounded. You do not acquire purpose. You uncover it. This uncovering continues throughout life. There is always more refinement, more understanding, more responsibility, but there is also more peace, more trust, more quiet confidence. And as you continue forward, you realize that being chosen is not about standing apart from humanity. It is about standing firmly within yourself while remaining connected to others with integrity. This is not a loud path. It is a grounded one, and it prepares you for what comes next. At a certain point on this journey, the chosen begin to recognize a subtle but powerful shift within themselves. The need to control outcomes starts to fade. The urge to force understanding dissolves. What replaces it is steadiness. This steadiness is not passive. It is rooted. It is the calm that comes from knowing you can adapt without losing yourself. You begin to understand that life will not always move according to your preferences, but it will always respond to your alignment. When you are aligned, even detours carry purpose. Even delays carry instruction. This realization brings freedom. You stop fighting what is. You stop labeling every challenge as a threat. Instead, you learn to meet situations as they arise, without projecting fear or expectation onto them. The chosen learn to stand in uncertainty without collapsing. Uncertainty no longer signals danger. It signals expansion. It is the space where growth happens, where old identities dissolve and new capacities emerge. Another transformation takes place in how you view authority. Earlier, authority may have seemed external. Rules, expectations, systems, or other people's opinions held weight over your decisions. Over time, that influence weakens. You develop internal authority. This does not mean rejecting guidance or wisdom from others. It means filtering it through your own discernment. Advice becomes information, not command. Feedback becomes reference, not definition. You choose consciously. With this shift comes responsibility. You can no longer blame circumstances for patterns you continue to repeat. Awareness removes excuses. It hands you choice. Choice is power, and power requires integrity. Integrity is not about perfection. It is about consistency between what you know and how you act. When actions drift from values, discomfort appears. This discomfort is not punishment. It is correction. The chosen learn to listen to this internal signal rather than suppress it. When alignment is restored, peace follows. Another essential lesson emerges around patience with others. As your awareness deepens, you may notice gaps between how you perceive things and how others do. This can create frustration if left unchecked. Not everyone is meant to see what you see at the same time. Growth cannot be rushed. Understanding cannot be forced. You learn to allow people their process without abandoning your own. Compassion does not require compromise of truth. It requires boundaries rooted in respect. You can hold space without carrying weight that is not yours. This distinction protects both you and them. As maturity deepens, the chosen also learn the value of restraint. Not every insight needs to be shared. Not every truth needs to be spoken aloud. Wisdom often lies in timing rather than volume. Restraint preserves energy. It prevents dilution. It allows depth to remain intact. There is strength in knowing that silence can communicate clarity more effectively than explanation. Another refinement occurs in how you relate to achievement. Goals remain important, but attachment to outcomes loosens. You do your work with care and intention, then release the need to control results. This detachment does not reduce effort. It enhances it. When fear of outcome disappears, presence improves. Focus sharpens. Quality increases. You give fully without clinging. This is sustainable contribution. The chosen also become more comfortable with endings. Endings no longer feel like loss alone. They are recognized as transitions, completions that make room for integration. You stop chasing closure. You accept resolution through understanding. This allows you to move forward without dragging unfinished weight behind you. With time, gratitude becomes quieter but deeper, not the kind that depends on circumstances, but the kind that arises from perspective. You begin to see how even difficult experiences shape resilience, clarity, and capacity. Nothing is dismissed as meaningless. Everything has contributed. And finally, there's a profound acceptance that this path is lived one step at a time. No map reveals itself all at once. Guidance arrives when it is needed, not when it is demanded. This teaches trust. Trust in timing. Trust in inner guidance. Trust in your ability to respond rather than predict. The chosen do not rush toward an imagined future. They inhabit the present fully, knowing that presence is what shapes what comes next. And from this presence, life begins to feel less like a struggle and more like a dialogue, a continuous exchange between intention and response. You act. Life answers. You adjust. Life unfolds. This is not surrender as defeat. It is surrender as cooperation. And as this cooperation deepens, your path becomes less about striving and more about alignment. Less about proving and more about being. This prepares you for the final understanding. As this journey deepens, the chosen reach a level of awareness where they stop searching for confirmation outside themselves. What once felt uncertain now feels anchored, not because every answer is known, but because trust has taken root. Trust changes how you move. You no longer rush to define every experience. You allow moments to unfold without immediately labeling them as good or bad. You understand that meaning often reveals itself later, through reflection rather than reaction. This creates inner stability. Stability does not mean life becomes predictable. It means you become adaptable without losing center. When circumstances shift, you adjust without panic. When challenges arise, you respond without collapse. The chosen learn to remain grounded even when outcomes are unclear. Another important realization emerges. Discipline is freedom. Many view discipline as restriction, but for the chosen, discipline creates space. It protects focus. It preserves energy. It prevents life from becoming scattered. Discipline shows up in small, consistent choices. Choosing rest before exhaustion. Choosing truth over convenience. Choosing alignment over approval. These choices compound over time. They shape character. They create reliability within yourself. You begin to trust your own follow-through, your own judgment, your own restraint. This self-trust is powerful. When you trust yourself, external pressure loses influence. You are no longer easily pulled off course by opinions, trends, or expectations that conflict with your values. Another layer of maturity forms in how you handle disappointment. Disappointment no longer turns inward as self-doubt. It becomes information. It highlights mismatches between expectation and reality. Instead of blaming yourself or others, you recalibrate. Recalibration keeps you moving forward. Stagnation fades. You remain flexible without becoming unstable. The chosen also learn to release the need to be seen. Visibility becomes secondary to integrity. Recognition becomes less important than resonance. You begin to care more about whether your actions are honest than whether they are applauded. This is where quiet confidence develops. Confidence rooted in consistency rather than comparison. Confidence that does not require defense. confidence that remains steady even when unnoticed. With this confidence comes discernment about effort. You stop overextending. You stop proving. You stop carrying responsibilities that were never yours. You conserve energy for what matters. This conservation allows depth. Depth creates impact. Impact does not always appear dramatic. Often it is subtle. A shift in perspective. A moment of clarity. A presence that brings calm without explanation. The chosen influence without force. They lead without demand. They teach without preaching. Another essential understanding emerges around forgiveness. Forgiveness becomes less about excusing harm and more about releasing attachment to resentment. Carrying resentment drains energy. Releasing it restores clarity. Forgiveness does not mean forgetting. It means refusing to be controlled by what has already passed. This release creates space for renewal. Renewal strengthens intuition. As intuition sharpens, decision-making becomes cleaner. You spend less time second-guessing. You act with awareness, then accept outcomes without excessive self-criticism. Mistakes become refinement points, not identity markers. Learning accelerates. Growth stabilizes. At this stage, life begins to feel less fragmented. Different areas of your life start to align. Choices support each other rather than compete. Your inner values and outer actions begin to match. This coherence brings peace, not the absence of challenge, but the presence of clarity within challenge. You understand that peace is not found by controlling life, but by responding to it honestly. And then comes a quiet realization. You are not meant to carry this path perfectly. Perfection was never the requirement. Presence was. Awareness was. Integrity was. You are allowed to evolve, to revise, to adapt, to change direction when alignment shifts. Growth is not betrayal of the past. It is honoring the present. The chosen are not rigid. They are responsive. And as you continue forward, this responsiveness becomes your greatest strength. You meet life where it is. You act where you can. You release what you cannot control. This balance keeps you grounded. It keeps you moving. And it prepares you for completion. Not as an ending, but as integration. At this stage of the journey, something subtle yet profound begins to settle within you. The urgency that once drove your decision softens. The need to constantly analyze every step fades. In its place, a quiet assurance develops. You begin to trust your pace. Not because everything is clear, but because you have learned that clarity grows through movement, not perfection. You no longer pressure yourself to have all the answers before taking the next step. You move forward with intention, allowing understanding to catch up in its own time. This shift changes how you experience life. Moments feel fuller. Decisions feel cleaner. You stop scattering your attention across too many directions and begin to focus on what truly matters. Focus becomes your ally. It strengthens presence and reduces internal noise. The chosen learn that attention is sacred. Where attention goes, energy flows. When attention is divided, power leaks. When attention is gathered, power concentrates. You become more deliberate about what you give your focus to. Not everything deserves it. Distractions lose their appeal. Drama loses its pull. Meaningless urgency loses its authority. You begin to operate from depth rather than surface reaction. Another important transformation occurs in how you relate to identity. Earlier in life, identity may have felt fixed or externally defined. Over time, you realize that identity is fluid. It evolves as awareness expands. You are not limited by who you were. You are informed by who you have been. This distinction is liberating. It allows you to release outdated self-images without guilt. Growth no longer feels like betrayal of the past. It feels like integration. You carry lessons forward without carrying limitation. As identity loosens, authenticity strengthens. You stop performing versions of yourself that were designed for approval or survival. You begin to act from honesty rather than habit. This honesty simplifies life. Decisions become less complicated. Relationships become clearer. Boundaries become easier to maintain. You no longer negotiate with what you know to be true. This does not make life conflict-free, but it makes it coherent. Another realization deepens. Strength does not always look like endurance. Sometimes it looks like withdrawal. Sometimes it looks like rest. Sometimes it looks like saying no without explanation. You learn to differentiate between persistence and self-neglect. Persistence serves purpose. Self-neglect serves fear. Knowing the difference protects your longevity. As your rhythm stabilizes, you notice a change in how challenges affect you. Problems still arise, but they no longer consume you entirely. You hold them without being overwhelmed by them. You respond from steadiness rather than urgency. This steadiness allows creativity to emerge. Solutions appear where struggle once dominated. You begin to see multiple paths instead of only obstacles. Perspective widens. Options increase. Pressure decreases. The chosen also develop a refined sense of timing. You learn when to act and when to wait, when to push and when to pause. This timing is not calculated intellectually. It is sensed. It comes from alignment rather than strategy. You stop forcing doors. You stop chasing outcomes. You move when movement feels supported. Waiting no longer feels like stagnation. It feels like positioning. This patience is not passive. It is alert. It is aware. It is ready. Another layer of maturity emerges in how you handle misunderstanding. You accept that some people will never fully understand your choices, your silence, or your direction. You stop trying to correct every misinterpretation. Understanding is offered, not demanded. Peace is preserved by letting go of the need to be fully seen. Those who resonate will recognize you without explanation. Those who do not were never meant to carry your story. This acceptance frees immense energy. Energy that is redirected toward growth, contribution, and presence. Finally, there is a quiet acknowledgement that this path is lived inwardly as much as outwardly. Achievements may come and go. Roles may change. Circumstances may shift. But alignment remains. Alignment becomes home. You carry it with you regardless of environment. You are no longer searching for stability outside yourself. You are no longer waiting to arrive somewhere to feel complete. You understand that completeness is not a destination. It is a way of moving. And as you continue forward, step by step, you do so with grounded confidence. Not loud, not performative, but steady, prepared, aware, present. As this phase unfolds, the chosen arrive at a place where resistance fades. Not because life becomes easy, but because opposition no longer defines direction. You stop measuring progress by struggle alone and begin to recognize growth through stability. Stability becomes your new signal. When stability is present, decisions feel grounded. You no longer swing between extremes of hope and doubt. Instead, you operate from consistency. This consistency becomes your quiet strength. You learn that clarity does not shout. It settles. Another realization surfaces. Not every lesson arrives through intensity. Some arrive through repetition. Small patterns reveal themselves over time, asking for adjustment rather than reaction. You notice where energy leaks. You notice where effort is wasted. You notice where alignment is already present. This awareness allows refinement. Refinement is different from change. Change replaces. Refinement sharpens. It removes excess. It simplifies. You begin to do less, but with greater intention. Less noise, less force, more precision. This precision transforms how you engage with the world. You choose conversations more carefully. You choose commitments more selectively. You choose environments that support clarity rather than disrupt it. Your life becomes lighter without becoming shallow. Another deep shift occurs in how you view responsibility. Responsibility is no longer something placed on you from outside. It becomes something you choose from within. You stop carrying obligations that were never aligned. You stop overfunctioning for others. You stop confusing responsibility with sacrifice. Responsibility becomes stewardship of your energy, your time, and your integrity. This stewardship creates sustainability. Sustainability ensures longevity. Longevity allows true impact. The chosen also learn to respect cycles. There are times for action and times for rest. Times for engagement and times for withdrawal. times for speaking and times for listening. You stop resisting these cycles. You work with them. This cooperation prevents burnout. It preserves creativity. It keeps intuition clear. You no longer panic during low-energy phases. You understand they are part of recalibration, not regression. Trust deepens. Another essential understanding arises around contribution. You realize that contribution does not always require visibility. Influence does not always require recognition. Sometimes your role is to stabilize a space. Sometimes it is to model consistency. Sometimes it is to hold presence rather than provide answers. This subtle contribution is powerful. It changes dynamics quietly. It shifts outcomes indirectly. The chosen influence systems without needing to control them. As this awareness integrates, fear loses relevance. Fear may still appear, but it no longer directs action. You acknowledge it, then move forward with intention. Fear becomes background noise rather than command. This mastery is not dramatic. It is practiced. It is repeated. It is embodied. And finally, you come to a grounded acceptance of uncertainty. You understand that certainty is not required to live well. What is required is responsiveness, honesty, and alignment. You trust yourself to adapt. You trust yourself to recalibrate. You trust yourself to respond. This self-trust is earned through experience, not affirmation. It becomes unshakable. As you continue walking, you no longer ask when the path will become clear. You understand that clarity emerges through presence, not prediction. You are no longer chasing a version of the future. You are shaping it through how you stand in the present. This is integration. This is maturity. This is quiet authority. And it prepares you for completion, not as an ending, but as embodiment. As you reach the end of this message, understand this clearly. The journey you are walking was never meant to be loud, crowded, or easy to explain. It was meant to be lived with awareness. You were never chosen to escape struggle. You were chosen to develop clarity within it. You were never set apart to rise above others, but to stand firmly within yourself when others lose direction. This is the quiet strength that defines your path. There will still be moments of uncertainty. There will still be pauses, recalibrations, and seasons where progress feels invisible. Do not mistake these moments for failure. They are part of refinement. They are where alignment deepens and integrity strengthens. Remember this: you do not need to rush your becoming. Nothing meaningful is lost by moving with intention. Nothing authentic is gained by forcing outcomes. Your path unfolds as you remain present, honest, and grounded in what you know to be true. You are not here to convince the world. You are here to remain coherent within it. Let your actions be measured. Let your words be deliberate. Let your silence be intentional. There's power in restraint, clarity in discernment, and stability in balance. Protect your energy. Honor your rhythm. Trust your inner authority. When doubt appears, return to awareness. When pressure rises, return to alignment. When noise increases, return to stillness. You are not behind. You are not lost. You are not waiting to arrive. You are already on the path, and every conscious step reinforces it. Carry this understanding forward. Let it inform how you choose, how you respond, and how you move through what comes next. This is not the end of the journey. It is the integration of everything you have learned so far. Move forward with steadiness. Stay grounded. Remain aligned. And let your presence speak where words are unnecessary.